Real quick, there's a statement finally out from Scottie Scheffler regarding this morning's incident. I'm getting this from PGA Tour page on Twitter, just so there's context there. Scheffler said in his statement, "This morning, I was proceeding as directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that had occurred earlier, and there was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective."
So he was wrong.
It's one way to read that.
What? Why is that so funny?
Because that was not. It's okay. Ravi takes a drink.
That's certainly one interpretation.
You don't think he was in the wrong? You think the cop was in the wrong, or what?
I think he probably.
Shane, should I?
We don't have to get into it.
I'm
sorry, I wasn't
times
listening.
to distract
earlier.
you guys from this conversation.
When Sautter said that, I almost had to walk out.
I know, same here.
Ravi was like,
I still walk out.
I'm gonna hit my monster.
No, I think that's one way to read that statement. That's not how I particularly read it, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. What?
How did you read it then? I don't even want to get into this, but that right there is going to get me back in.
Are we on the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody that reads it is on the same page.
Certainly not.
This dude is stubborn. All right.
So the cop was in the wrong.
So wait, how did
no, don't paint me into this.
Okay,
don't
sorry.
paint me into this
All right,
corner.
all right.
Okay.
All right.
There is.
I guess I wasn't listening. I'm sorry. I had to drop my kids off at school this morning.
No,
all that,
I don't. It's fine.
Do you guys want me to hit the break music?
How did you read it, Ravi?
I read it as he likely, like you said, misunderstood what was being asked of him. I also don't think that puts all of the onus squarely on Scottie Scheffler. Like, I think it could be still. I'm not saying 100% the cops at fault or whatever. But like I said earlier, there's a pretty decent chance that Scheffler did something he probably shouldn't have done, and maybe the police officer did something they shouldn't have done as well.
Where did you get the police officer part?
Honestly, the context of the charges and being released as quickly, because from the statement. No, I can't.
You think he's just taking the high road?
Yes, I think he's taking responsibility for something, so that he's trying to just move past the situation. Okay, because that's something that we like about people normally is they're like, hey, I'm taking ownership. I misunderstood what I was being asked of, and that's how we got to this place. But
big misunderstanding.
Yeah, obviously it was a big misunderstanding. He got arrested, right? But if there is a misunderstanding about a traffic situation here, I would like to believe, and maybe I'm wrong, I would like to believe there's a situation that a police officer could handle to de-escalate before somebody has to get arrested there. And when I look in the greater context of the statement and then everything else we know so far, this man in about 90 minutes was arrested, charged, and released. He's got multiple charges, right? If this is something where he was really out there in the wrong.
You know what I think happened?
What's that?
I'm purely speculating.
Yeah.
I think they wanted him to be held accountable for whatever it was that he did.
Yeah.
And I think on the back end, they turned around and did him a solid to get him back to golf because you weren't going to be above the law. So yeah, there's going to be multiple.
Fair.
I'm just telling you this.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You weren't going to be above the law. You were acting a certain way that you brought this on yourself. So we're going to go ahead and handle it. But we'll still be cool and get you back out there. There's going to be multiple charges, and maybe in 3 or 4 weeks we can let this go. But we're going to let you know what you did was wrong. And what he said, what I hear him saying is, I know when I use words like big misunderstanding, that means I don't want to get into minutia and I got to eat it. Hey man, it's a misunderstanding.
Can it also be you don't want to throw somebody else under the bus?
No, he's not in position. If he was all the things that we alluded to
when the police report's out,
he's not in the position because At that point, he's a civilian that has broken the law.
Fair.
So there is
I get that.
there is no number one. There's none of that. He's
okay, but there are varying degrees of breaking the law, right? No. Listen.
here,
Hold on. Listen.
Can I read?
Like there is just a second. There is he got charged with second degree assaulting an officer, which means intentional. That's what the second degree means. You read it off earlier, right? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that after intentionally hurting an officer is what they're saying they did. They decided, hey, we're cool and we're going to let you go.
Well, you could also have entertained what I said earlier, where maybe it wasn't going as fast, or the officer assumed some responsibility by trying to get in front of his vehicle.
Okay.
Right. And it has to fall under something. So yes, you did know I was in front of the vehicle. Go ahead.
Okay. Subject pulled into the westbound lanes where outbound traffic was flowing and to avoid backed up traffic. Detective Gillis was in the middle of the westbound lanes in full LMPD uniform and high visibility yellow reflective rain jacket. Detective Gillis stopped subject and attempted to give instructions. Subject refused to comply and accelerated forward, dragging Gillis to the ground. Detective Gillis suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions to his left wrist and knee. He was transferred to the hospital, whatever. Okay. That's the police report.
Okay.
So the dude was standing in the lane and was like, hey, where are you going?
So if he ran down a police officer, we're
Basically,
cool letting him go in 90 minutes.
That's probably not okay. They
Now,
probably did him a solid to get him back there.
That's what I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
in what world? Like we know.
I would say that what I'm trying to say.
Shifting
Okay.
here.
No, hold on.
Robbie, I think
I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm not trying to say that.
Maybe, hey, listen. Maybe at the end of the day, the police did work like good in this instance.
Maybe
they punished him. There was an infraction, and they met him halfway by saying, "Hey, we'll get you back."
Yeah.
That could be a thing. Maybe the officer didn't feel like his life was in danger, but he did step on the gas and he tried to impede his progress.
I will probably.
Why is that so hard to?
Because if that's what really happened, I cannot believe they let him go. Like if that's what really that's just how I feel about it, right? If that's really what happened, if he stepped on the accelerator and hit a cop with his car, they let that dude go in 90 minutes. So I'm not saying that's the cop's fault, but why are they doing him a solid?
I'll say that
something doesn't make sense to me there.
If Scottie Scheffler looked like you two and not me, he would not have been out in 90 minutes. I'm going to say that.
I'm not even going there. I'm just saying.
I'm going to go there.
The way police officers typically band together with their own, if he accelerated, and
they would have all been
if he accelerated and hit a cop, how on earth is he out in 90 minutes?
That's
like something there doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe he only went from
and I'm not saying it
10
doesn't
mile an hour to 15.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense on the cop or doesn't make sense on Scottie Scheffler, but something there doesn't pass the sniff test for him.